This is one of India's most requested and baffling criminal cases. It's a story so full of twists, turns, and conflicting information that the truth remains elusive even today. Imagine this. On the morning of 16th May, 2008, 14-year-old Arushi Talwar is found murdered in her bedroom. The prime suspect is the family's missing helper, Hemraj. A nationwide manhunt begins. But the case takes a bizarre turn when the very next day, Hemraj's body is discovered on the terrace of the same house. With two victims and a home seemingly locked from the inside, the question wasn't just who did it, but how. This is the story of a double murder that spiraled into a media circus and became one of the most debated cases in India's history. Before the morning of 16th May, the Talwars were the picture of a successful, upper-middle-class family. Dr. Rajesh and Dr. Nupur Talwar were respected dentists running their own clinics. Their only daughter, Arushi, was a bright 14-year-old student at Delhi Public School with a promising future. Living with them in their Noida apartment was Hemraj Banjare, their 45-year-old live-in domestic helper from Nepal, who was a trusted part of the household. The night of 15th May, 2008, was completely ordinary. No one could have predicted that this picture of domestic peace was about to be shattered forever. Around 6 a.m. on 16th May, the family's maid, Bharti Mandal, arrived for work. Nupur Talwar met her, distressed, explaining that Arushi's bedroom door was locked from the outside. When the door was finally opened, the scene inside was a nightmare. Arushi Talwar was lying dead on her bed, her throat slit. The room was drenched in blood. The parents were in a state of shock and grief. Soon, friends and family filled the apartment, and the police were notified. When the Noida police arrived, they found a chaotic scene. The apartment was crowded, and crucial evidence was being trampled. But one detail seemed clear. The helper, Hemraj, was missing. An empty bottle of alcohol on the dining table led police to a simple conclusion. Hemraj had killed Arushi and fled. A manhunt was launched, and his face was broadcast as the prime suspect. For 24 hours, the case seemed like a straightforward tragedy. That theory collapsed the very next day. A retired police officer visiting the family noticed the terrace door was locked from the outside, with blood-like stains on the handle. He insisted the police open it. When the lock was broken, the investigation was turned on its head. On the hot rooftop lay the decomposing body of Hemraj Banjare. He had also been murdered, his throat slit just like Arushi's. His body had been dragged and hidden behind a water cooler. This changed everything. It was now a double murder. With two bodies, a locked apartment, and no sign of forced entry, the police were baffled. They quickly declared it must be an insider job, carried out with surgical precision. Suddenly, the grieving parents, Dr. Rajesh and Dr. Nupur Talwar, became the prime suspects. The initial UP police investigation became infamous for its incompetence. The crime scene was never sealed, allowing it to be completely contaminated by relatives, neighbors, and the media. Potential evidence was lost forever. Amid this chaos, the police put forward a new, explosive theory: an honor killing. At a press conference, they claimed Dr. Rajesh Talwar had found Arushi in a compromising position with Hemraj and, in a fit of rage, killed them both. This theory had no forensic backing, but it was sensational and spread like wildfire through the media. The Talwars went from victims to villains overnight. Their characters were assassinated on national television. A week after his daughter's murder, on 23rd May, 2008, Dr. Rajesh Talwar was arrested. Following a public outcry, the investigation was transferred to India's top agency, the CBI, on 1st June 2008. The first CBI team, led by Joint Director Arun Kumar, quickly dismantled the honor killing theory, finding no evidence. Their focus shifted to Dr. Talwar's compounder, Krishna, and two of Hemraj's friends, Rajkumar and Vijay Mandal. The theory was that the three men were drinking with Hemraj that night, and an argument led to the murders. Narco-analysis tests were conducted, during which the men made statements that seemed to implicate them. They were arrested, but the CBI could find no hard evidence, no DNA, no fingerprints, no weapon, to back up the narco confessions. Then, the investigation took another U-turn. A new CBI team took over. In 2010, this second team filed a closure report. It cleared the servants, but it also stated that while there wasn't enough evidence to charge the Talwars, the needle of suspicion pointed directly at them. Essentially, the CBI was saying, "We think the parents did it, but we can't prove it." This case is a maze of conflicting theories. If this breakdown is helping you navigate the complexities, please hit that like button. It helps us bring more deep dives like this to you. In a stunning move, the court rejected the CBI's closure report in February 2011. Instead, it ordered the prosecution of Rajesh and Nupur Talwar based on that very same report. The parents were now officially charged with murder. The prosecution's case was built entirely on circumstantial evidence. They argued that with no forced entry, the Talwars were the only people who could have committed the crime. They pointed to a supposedly dressed-up crime scene and the fact that the apartment's internet router was active intermittently during the night, suggesting the parents were awake. The defense argued the case was based on conjecture from a botched investigation. They highlighted the contaminated crime scene, the lack of a murder weapon, the absence of any forensic evidence linking the Talwars to the crime, and the findings of the first CBI team that pointed towards the servants. In November 2013, the special CBI court delivered its verdict. Based on the chain of circumstantial evidence, it found Rajesh and Nupur Talwar guilty. They were sentenced to life in prison. The Talwars maintained their innocence and appealed to the Allahabad High Court. For 4 years, they remained in prison while their case was reviewed. In October 2017, the High Court delivered its judgment. Rajesh and Nupur Talwar were acquitted of all charges. The verdict was a scathing critique of the investigation and the lower court's decision, noting grave lapses in evidence collection. The judges famously stated that suspicion, however grave it may be, cannot take the place of proof. The High Court ruled the CBI had failed to prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. After 4 years in jail, the Talwars were free. But their freedom offered no answers. If they didn't do it, who did? The double murder of Arushi Talwar and Hemraj Banjade is a monument to systemic failure. A contaminated crime scene, a sensationalist police theory, and to contradictory CBI investigations led to a trial court conviction that was ultimately overturned. Today, the case remains officially unsolved. The CBI appealed the acquittal to the Supreme Court of India in 2018. The appeal was admitted and is still technically pending, but the case has been stuck in legal limbo for years. The Talwars are free but live under a shadow of suspicion. The servants were cleared, but questions linger. Was this the story of parents who committed an unspeakable crime and escaped on a legal technicality? Or was it the story of a grieving couple wrongly trapped by a system desperate for a scapegoat? More than a decade later, there are no definitive answers, only theories. The search for justice for Arushi and Hemraj was lost in a fog of botched police work and media frenzy. The truth, it seems, was the ultimate casualty. The Arushi Talwar case remains one of India's most debated, and a final answer is still out of reach. What are your thoughts on this investigation? Which theory do you find most compelling? Share your perspective in the comments below. And if you want to see more investigations into complex cases like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive.